Tales from the Crypt stands as one of the most influential anthology horror series of its time, and the episode Doctor of Horror exemplifies the intricate layering of terror, suspense, and dark humor that made the series iconic. From the very opening sequence, the viewer is thrust into a world that balances realism with the grotesque, blending the familiar settings of everyday life with the disturbing unpredictability of human depravity. The episode begins with the introduction of Dr. Malcolm Thorne, a physician whose professional demeanor masks a sinister obsession with experimenting on the human psyche. His office, carefully arranged with medical paraphernalia and an unnerving assortment of preserved specimens, immediately signals to the audience that morality and science will clash in ways both shocking and morally ambiguous. The camera work in these early scenes deserves special attention, as tight close-ups of surgical instruments interspersed with Thorne's unsettlingly calm expressions create a sense of claustrophobia and anticipation, making the audience complicit in his emerging madness. What makes this episode particularly fascinating is its narrative structure, which unfolds almost like a psychological case study, alternating between Thorne's meticulously planned experiments and the unsuspecting lives of his patients. Each scene is meticulously crafted, from the seemingly mundane act of consultation to the increasingly disturbing demonstrations of his manipulations, emphasizing the idea that horror is often rooted not in supernatural phenomena but in the depths of human obsession. As the story progresses, Thorne's moral descent becomes increasingly apparent. There is a striking scene where he isolates a patient under the guise of treatment, only to reveal that his true intention is to manipulate the subject's fears for a twisted form of scientific curiosity. This scene is shot with a deliberate pacing, the slow zooms and the unrelenting hum of background noises amplifying tension, making the viewer feel the inescapable grip of dread. The episode also explores the psychological dimension of horror. Thorne is not merely a figure of terror. He embodies the archetype of the corrupt intellectual whose pursuit of knowledge comes at the expense of human ethics. Through his interactions, the audience is confronted with questions about the limits of curiosity, the dangers of unchecked ambition, and the thin line separating genius from madness. In addition, the use of lighting and shadow plays a critical role in establishing mood. Dark corridors, dimly lit operating rooms, and sudden flashes of illumination create an atmosphere in which the familiar becomes threatening, demonstrating how visual storytelling can heighten psychological unease. Comparatively, Doctor of Horror echoes certain elements of classic horror cinema, particularly the works that explore the obsession of scientists or physicians whose moral compass has been warped by their ambitions. Yet, the episode maintains its unique flavor through a blend of sharp dialogue, macabre humor, and an episodic rhythm that allows suspense to build organically. A memorable moment occurs when Thorne confronts the consequences of his actions, and the episode shifts from suspense to outright terror, highlighting the notion that horror often arises from the inevitable collision between intention and consequence. From a thematic perspective, Doctor of Horror examines not only fear, but also the human fascination with power and control. The characters who fall victim to Thorne's schemes serve as mirrors, reflecting societal anxieties about authority figures, the ethics of medicine, and the vulnerability of the human mind. The narrative encourages the audience to question who truly holds power and whether knowledge without conscience is more terrifying than any supernatural threat. Beyond the technical and thematic elements, the episode resonates on a personal level. One cannot help but recall personal experiences of encountering the seemingly ordinary that conceals hidden dangers. This resonance is further amplified by the show's use of practical effects and atmospheric sound design, which create an immersive experience that lingers long after viewing. The climax is both shocking and satisfying, delivering the signature twist that Tales from the Crypt is known for. The irony inherent in Thorne's downfall reinforces the series' moral undertone. Hubris and cruelty inevitably lead to poetic justice. In conclusion, Doctor of Horror exemplifies the brilliance of Tales from the Crypt, blending narrative complexity, visual sophistication, and psychological tension to create a memorable exploration of human fear and morality. The episode not only entertains but also provokes reflection on ethical boundaries, the allure of power, and the frightening potential within human ambition. Its meticulous pacing, striking cinematography, and haunting performances make it a landmark within horror anthologies and a compelling study for those interested in the intersections of fear, ethics, and human psychology.